Money FM 89.3, best of breakfast. Mind your business, only on Money FM 89.3.
Welcome to Mind Your Business. When you hear the mention of FairPrice, you're probably thinking of Singapore's largest supermarket chain and the amazing array of groceries and household items you can get if you walk into any of its branches. But did you know that they've got a social impact arm called FairPrice Foundation? Well, today we're joined by Khong, General Manager of FairPrice Foundation, who believes strongly in what corporate mavens say about doing what gives you joy. Jean brings with her close to 2 decades of experience in integrated communications from the banking industry. And what we'd like to know is what it's like translating that experience into the social mission she works for now. So without further ado, Jean, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Morning. Hi. Morning, Emaad. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. First off, when we talk FairPrice, most of us know it as the supermarket that we would visit to get our groceries or other household items. But FairPrice Foundation, as we understand, is the social impact working with local needy communities. Now, could you first briefly enlighten us, Jean, on some of the interesting projects that FairPrice Foundation does that we perhaps don't already know about?
For sure. So FairPrice Group really is, you always think about supermarkets, right? Mm-hmm. And we do have lots and lots of supermarkets. But what a lot of people don't know is we also have lots of food courts. So we've got the largest chain of food courts in Singapore and hawker centers as well. So Kopitiam Food Court would be under FairPrice Group. Now, the foundation itself, FairPrice Foundation, is the philanthropic social impact of FairPrice Group. So what this foundation does really is it brings together the community engagement needs, and really it comes together to make sure that we give back to the community and we help sustain the poor and needy in our community in a very, very authentic way, in a way that really resonates. Mm-hmm. So over the last 10 months, we've come up with some key projects, signature programs, to really help them. So, for example, we sat together in a room and we said, how do we make every day a little better for the vulnerable among us, especially when it comes to food and nutrition, right? So that's where, Start Strong, Stay Strong was born. So Start Strong, Stay Strong is a program. It's the first of its kind in Singapore that provides preschool nutrition education to kids from as young as 3 years old all the way to 6 years old, right? And so we designed this curriculum with My First School, right, which is NTUC First Campus, and KK Women's and Children's Hospital. And we bring simple things like nutrition education. When you talk about nutrition, it's everyone wants to be healthy. Everyone wants to eat a nutritious meal. But how do you make healthy choices every day? How do you make nutrition? How do you teach that 3-year-old kid, I'm going to have, a slice of apple instead of a cup of chocolate milk, right? So all these things, little small choices, add up every day to a more nutritious meal. And another thing that we did really was, we were talking to a lot of our beneficiaries, and a lot of them said, hey, Jean, a lot of the donations that we have are coming down, right? Some people are finding hard to even give us $20 per month to help us out. And so what we did was we brought together 10 of Singapore's largest food charities. We call them our charity partners. And we came together with the entire community to launch a full plate. So what a full plate is really is Singapore's largest food donation drive. And that brings together, it raised more than $1.6 million over 6 weeks from the Singapore public, which we are so grateful for, and also Foundation put in some money to really give back in a way that is very, very meaningful. So that means for the rest of the year, residents, poor and needy residents, will be able to tap into these 10 charities to get a hot meal, to get nutritious food like eggs, frozen chicken, fresh vegetables, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so some great initiatives that you've embarked on at the FairPrice Foundation. Now, I want to shift the focus to you, Jean. You bring with you close to 2 decades of experience in integrated communications from the banking industry. How has your background in that industry influenced your leadership style at FairPrice Foundation, especially in aligning the organization's mission as well as its projects?
So I learned 2 things in the banking industry, and, believe it or not, banking is very purposeful. It keeps the wheels of trade and industry going, right, around the world. But two key things. I'll boil it down to two P's, right? Number one, purpose, to have purpose in everything that we do. And the second one really is pride in what we do. So let me touch on purpose first. So purpose really is, why do we do what we do every day? And so, over at FairPrice Group and the foundation, we spent a long time thinking about this over the last year. Why do we do what we do? We've been around for 50 years. We can continue how we, do things without changing. But really, why we do what we do really is to keep daily essentials within reach, right? Mm-hmm. You come to FairPrice for everything, for your eggs, for your groceries, for bread, for milk, for fresh meat, whatever, right? And you go to Kopitiam for cooked food, a healthy meal, right? So that's really keeping daily essentials within reach. Then the second one really is, having the pride in what we do. At FairPrice Foundation, I must say, and FairPrice Group, I've met this bunch of people who are so amazingly dedicated to keeping Singapore fed. And that has been my inspiration over the last, 2 years that I've been at FairPrice Group. Yeah, they really take pride in delivering solutions that are easy on the wallet. So really all our discount schemes every day, bringing in food that is healthy, bringing in food that is fresh, but yet fun and exciting for Singaporeans, right? Mm-hmm. And over the coming Chinese New Year, which is really the busiest time of the year for our supermarkets, and starting this week, you'll find more than 500 employees from headquarters really going down to the front lines to serve customers. Yeah, so for me, myself, I'll be working in the front lines by selling oranges, Mandarin oranges, and I'll also be a cashier's assistant.
Oh, wonderful. Right? So you'll be in the trenches yourself.
I'm not very good cashier's assistant, but, I try my best.
Jean, as GM of the foundation, you obviously play a pretty central role in positioning FairPrice Foundation's strategic initiatives. So my next question is, how do you balance the need for strategic decision-making against what employees want, while also building a deep empathy for the communities the foundation serves?
Yeah, okay. So that really goes back to purpose, right? And the people that we serve. So we look very, very much to the people that we serve. Really, we started off as a company, as a business that was there to stop profiteering, right? The crazy rise in prices. And so the people that we serve really would be providing all Singaporeans, but really the poor and needy among us, that food security that we need, right? As Singapore's largest retailer, as its philanthropic arm, it really means that the purpose would be to provide the basic food needs for us, for Singapore, right? So guides us really is that sense of purpose. But also, and you can see that through the programs that are coming through, right? So started the year off SG60 celebrations by doubling the discounts that we would give for Chas Orange and Chas Blue customers that come through our store every Thursday and every Friday. So, for example, if you're a Chas Blue customer, you come through our store on a Thursday and you shop with us, you get 3% off your shopping basket.
Oh, wow.
6% off your shopping basket, sorry. So we've doubled that. And same for Chas Orange. So Chas Orange customers really, when nobody provided any rebates or any discounts for them, and we said, hey, is that like, a segment of society that's not being served? Can we serve them better, right? Because these group of customers usually have, elderly to feed and look after, and then also they have to provide for their young children as well. So what we did was we were the first retailer to give them a 3% discount last year, and then starting this year we've doubled that discount, all the way to March 1st to 6%.
Yeah,
on a Friday.
It does seem like you've come on leaps and bounds when it comes to making sure these initiatives go a long way. Now, I also want to touch on some of the challenges that you've met along the way when it comes to shaping how the organization evolves its current direction and strategy to deepen positive social impact within Singapore's communities. So could you shed light on some of the obstacles that you've had to encounter and overcome?
Yeah, I like what you said. What are the obstacles that we have had to overcome? Because, as a nation, it's so easy to just do the same thing over and over again. But really, the needs have changed, right? And the expectations of companies have changed as well. And, the challenges that we face are not new to us, right? How do we stay relevant and authentic to the community and customers that we serve, right? And then we ask ourselves frequently, do our programs resonate? Do we have the right programs to serve the community, right? And do our programs build society up? And what is the best of FairPrice that we can give? And so I must tell you, we've done some soul searching over the last 12 months, right? And we also, it's not just qualitative, because soul searching can be very qualitative, but we also had quantitative survey, quantitative help to bring us along on our journey, right? So like we did a quantitative survey, it's called A Full Plate, and that study surveyed 1,000 Singaporeans, you know, from all walks of life, but really focusing on the lower income Singaporeans, right? And what we found really was, you know, Singaporeans recognize, right, that they want a healthy diet, and to them, health and wellness is the number one priority in their life. But many of them don't even understand what a healthy meal is, right? They don't understand what it means to have a full plate, you know, really, which is enough, a good mix of carbohydrates, protein, and fiber, right? And when we go to our block parties, which we have 12 of every year, I'll touch a little bit on that later, and we play games with them, simple matching games, like, do you know what vitamin C is? You know, what food goes into vitamin C? What food gives you vitamin D, right? What gives you calcium? They find it hard to match the food to the vitamins. So what we did was we transformed our programs, right, our signature programs, into delivering more nutrition to the community. So, for example, one of them that we're going to expand this year really would be the community food share. So we take a lot of shrinkage. Shrinkage is just a fancy term for things that we don't sell in the supermarket, and we give it to these neighborhoods that, you know, are really in need of fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, for example, right? And so that's been so successful and so welcome, because we've had people coming up to us going like, hey, you know, before this, I really couldn't afford to buy extra fruits for my family, but because you guys come down together with the volunteers, right? FairPrice Foundation and FairPrice Group donates, together with the volunteers, my children can get more food. And to us, that is like the greatest, most satisfying reason for doing what we do. Yeah,
fantastic. You know, Gina, I wish I could speak to you for longer. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but it's been a pleasure having you in the show and learning about some of the initiatives that you've launched at the FairPrice Foundation. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. That was Jean Khong, General Manager of FairPrice Foundation, and you're listening to Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.